everyone, and welcome to Modernization FX, a space where we talk about application modernization with AWS partners and customers. Today, I have here with me Tony from Yorcard and Tom from Cloud Bridge. Hi, everyone. And Tom, maybe talk to me about Cloud Bridge and maybe a little bit of introduction about yourself.
Great. So we're an Amazon Web Services partner, first of all. And we do both projects and all kinds of projects, really, but lots of migrations and modernizations. So getting people into AWS and also either when they're in or maybe as part of the journey, modernizing them, helping to make sure that people are using the best services, most appropriate services, that they're able to scale and all those kind of things. And we also do support for customers, so managed services. And we see ourselves as often a kind of partner, a helping hand, as kind of knowledge, source of knowledge for partners to help work out what the best way to engage with AWS is.
Okay.
We're UK based, but we also have other offices in some territories as well, so like the Nordics, UAE, Philippines, and we're growing quickly.
Good. Excellent. Thank you very much. Tony.
I'm Tony Reeves. I run Yorkard Limited, which is a small, mostly development team. We support the local authorities in the Yorkshire and Humber region for all things public transport, ticketing related. So we've been going for about 15 years now. We started with smart cards and now we've moved to mobile application ticketing.
Okay, thank you. So can you talk to me a little bit about how you help the local authorities and the travel companies in relation to smart cards? I understand that basically you provide, two main big products for you. If you can explain.
Yeah, sure. So our legacy product, which is supporting smart cards, so this has been running for around 15 years now. Okay. Most off the back of the government initiative where they gave elderly people and disabled people free bus travel. And that was all based on smart cards. And then the school kids come on board and then we've got commercial products. So we helped the regions become smart enabled. That's helping the bus operators get the right equipment in place, helping the devices interact with the smart cards. So we built a back-end system.
So we are basically talking about the cards that hold the tickets, right?
That's correct.
That you tap on a bus or on another transport. Yeah, and basically you pay with the ticket.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry, interrupted.
Yeah, no, so we've built the whole infrastructure around this.
Yeah.
The whole infrastructure transport network. And now it's kind of fading off now. We've modernized it to basically an app-based solution. So instead of the smart card holding the ticket, we now have your mobile device holding the ticket. And the benefits is it's more live.
Sure.
So,
and you also have another product though that is more related to your traditional, let's say, business, which is around analytics and reporting. Am I right?
Yeah. So one of the main outputs from what we do is to make sense of the usage of smart ticketing. So we collect all the usage data, and that could be everything from the retail channel, collecting all the sales, or the usage of individual tickets. Now, these tickets are typically period tickets, so if one ticket could last you a day, it could last you a week or a month. So we collect all that usage data, could consist of, like 500,000 transactions a week.
Okay.
That is typical. And we allocate it. We allocate, who used the ticket, where it was used, which operators it was used on, and that data can be used by the local authorities.
Because this reporting is useful also for the local authorities to actually associate the cost and the payment related to the different travel providers, right?
That's
transport system.
Yes.
Okay. So, in relation to the smart cards, you also have been producing a software component that runs on devices, on other devices. I understand kiosks.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So can you talk to me about that as well?
Yeah, so the security of smart cards is obviously paramount. You've got to make sure they don't get intercepted. So what we do, we hold the security keys securely, and we provide a service, a remote service, where a remote device, it could be a kiosk, it could be a terminal, a news aid at the corner shop, or a mobile phone app.
The mobile phone, though, is the recent addition in relation to the more traditional products that's related to kiosks and something else that you mentioned.
Yeah, terminals in the corner shop or the post office counter.
Yeah. What do these do in relation to the smart card?
Well, you use them to top up, to buy your product, and that loads the ticket to the smart card.
Okay, because the ticket is stored on the smart card.
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we provide the infrastructure that they use to do that loading, because obviously the coding of that and the security is quite complicated. So we provide that as a package that clients such as tills, kiosks.
Sure. So let me understand a little bit better how this works. So I'm a user. I am topping up my card on a terminal, and what I basically do is I request for a specific ticket to be loaded on my smart card, right?
Yeah.
So what happens then? I think there is some sort of communication with your systems as well for some validation.
Yeah, absolutely. So we basically have a retail service. So the client, the terminal, will essentially order a product from our system, and we'll validate that. So that will actually work on that card. So you're not trying to load an adult product onto a child card, for instance. And we'll do the validation, and raise check it and things like that. Then once we're satisfied, passive validation, and we've got the payment through, or we've got notification via a secure channel that payment's been made, then we release it for fulfillment. And then what the user would typically do then, after they've popped the card on, selected the product, made the payment, they'll pop the card back onto the device again, and then we'll load the product, or the client will use our services to load the product.
Okay.
That's a back and forward encoding process. You've got to open a secure session to the smart card, a secure session to our key store.
Okay.
And
Good, thank you. In relation to the reporting, so the other big product, how does it work? So I believe that where do you take the data from? I believe the data is stored, the travel data, so the travel associated to people, and the data associated to this travel is stored. Where is it? So,
well, centrally on these standard database things called hops.
Okay.
So that's actually within the specification of the smart card scheme that we use. Every operator has to have a hops.
Okay.
Whether they have their own or they share one. So one of the services we also offer is we offer a hops for to be used by people in the region. So we run a managed hops.
And the way it works is then that you connect to these hubs and you pull the data with some frequency, and then you collect it and you produce reports for the local authority.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
And each hops talks to each other in the past, say, so one, you use your smart card on operator A, that will send the data to its hops, that will then pass it through to our hops, and we'll take the data and from that. So
clear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, good. And all of this, or both, let's say, these products rely, I understand, on a technology that is today running still on a legacy platform. Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we originally had it on a co-located Rackspace servers. We then moved to Amazon Web Services about 12 years ago, I believe, and we just did a lift and shift. So we spun up some Amazon EC2 boxes. I think we at our peak, we had probably 15 of these running.
Okay.
So small application servers, servers just in a single workload, servers running IIS, And then we've got a couple of database servers, one with the main operational database and one with the reporting database.
Okay.
Yes,
What kind of databases?
Microsoft SQL.
Okay.
Microsoft.
Still running in Amazon EC2, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Good. And then you mentioned that, let's move on to, I think 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, basically you wanted to introduce a new way of managing smart cards.
Yes, well, we more of a new way of managing tickets, making tickets available. So the challenges with smart cards is the smart card itself is live, and it has a customer service issue because you can't interact with it remotely. So we wanted to come up with a digital platform of making the tickets. And everyone uses apps nowadays, so we thought that's what we would do. Put the ticket on the phone. It means that the user can see it instantly, and customer services can interact with it instantly. So it solves a big customer service need more than anything, because someone could ring up and say, my train was cancelled, my bus was delayed, can I have a refund? So you can either give me a refund or extend the ticket. So it's a more dynamic platform.
Okay. Yeah. And so, what thought process did you make in relation to the architecture and the technologies used?
Okay, well, we're a very small team, mostly a team of developers, so we don't have a big IT support. We actually outsource that. So we had to pick something that was cutting edge, but not too cutting edge, and something that we could self-manage.
Right.
And we wanted to go down the microservices, serverless architecture route. Okay. We have challenges managing servers. You've got to keep up to date with the patches.
Because you're referring basically to your experience with the systems running the other two main products, right?
That's it.
Okay.
So we didn't really have the resources to keep managing and maintaining services or operating systems. And we've always had a capacity issue. You've got to try and predict what your capacity needs to be. So we wanted something that was scalable and elastic.
Okay.
We wanted to get cost effectiveness in there. So, instead of, we've got two big EC2 boxes running the databases and the reporting. Well, the reporting only gets used for a very small portion of the day, and yet we pay for, 20.
Sure.
So,
and also, I believe that you wanted to speed up a little bit innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. Our developers are always looking for, to work on nice greenfield projects. So, they wanted to move to microservices and, do a modern, modern
serverless then.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, can you talk to me then about the architecture of the application? We are talking about, of course, the backend on the mobile application, right?
Yeah.
Because I understand that the application itself is serving basically both operating systems for iOS and Android.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about a little bit the backend, which runs in the cloud, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So we are based on the Microsoft stack. So we put all the code into Amazon AWS Lambdas. So we've probably got about 30 to 40 Lambdas running. Everything from user sign up, to ticket ordering, to payment, and all that. So all that goes into Lambdas. Between the Lambda and the app, is we use Amazon API Gateway, and we take advantage of the multiple stages, so we can do UAT releases and library releases.
So how many environments do you have?
So we've got two main environments. We've got one that we just use for development and testing.
Okay.
And then we've got the live environment, which we use for obviously production and UAT.
Okay. And so you're using two Amazon API Gateway stages associated to these two environments?
More than two, but yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please explain. Yeah.
Okay. So we've now got two versions of the app out there. So we've got the version that we run in West Yorkshire that's been going for around 3 years now. We've just released a version of the app for South Yorkshire that's been going for about 3 weeks.
Okay, good. Congratulations.
Really, yeah, it's been quite successful. But there's an incredible amount of shared functionality. So they share, where possible, the same lambdas, but they might be subtly different versions of the lambdas. So we have different stages on the API gateway.
And how long did it take you to add the support for the new region?
Quite quickly. We had to switch out some things that we had no control of, like the payment service provider.
Okay.
But the rest of them basically stayed the same. So what we did, we implemented a tenant system.
Okay.
And we controlled the tenant system using an API gateway stage variable. So the lambdas, the app didn't really need to know which tenant they were. They just have an API gateway endpoint to use.
Okay.
It's that API endpoint that has the tenant in there, and that tells the lambda which flavor of the app is talking to.
So you're basically using stage variables to identify different lambda aliases so that you can basically switch to support, for example, a different payment system or a one region instead of another.
That's correct.
Okay. That's good. That's interesting.
Yeah, so there's obviously different products you can buy in the two different regions. So we basically have products associated with the tenant. So when the app comes in and says, can I have the latest product catalog, it uses a stage variable, passes that through to the lambda. The lambda then queries the database based on the products for that tenant, and it processes through the appropriate ones for the app. So
okay, that's curious. So products, for example, they are stored in one table, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and every record is associated to, I guess, a tenant ID or similar.
Yeah, we at that level we call it a brand.
Okay.
Yeah, but a brand is almost synonymous with a tenant.
Right.
So we can have multiple brands that one tenant can see.
Okay. Okay. And because the lambda, there is this association, this mapping, stage variable, lambda, and the tenant ID, then the lambda knows what to access.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the authentication and authorization.
Okay, so authorization, we use Amazon Cognito, which really takes that workload away from us. So what we have a different authorizer at the API gateway stage level.
Okay.
So each version of the app and each production environment, whether it's test or live, of course, it's different Cognito user pool, and that's what authorizes all the lambdas.
Okay, so you have a different Cognito user pool per, I guess, region?
Per tenant, yes.
Per tenant, okay. And where is the tenant? Is the tenant information encoded somewhere? I guess so, right?
We have that as an attribute on the Cognito user pool. We have it on our user details table in our database, and any lambda.
Is it maybe encoded also once the user has authenticated?
Yes, that's where it gets set.
Yeah, I guess you're using in JWTs, so
yeah, it's JWTs, and it's one of the claims on.
Okay, so that's one claim that is passed over and across API gateway and gets into also the lambda as well, and that can be read, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we typically read the stage variable for the lambda to get the tenant.
Okay.
But the claim is for the app base.
Okay, that's good.
So we can have shared lambdas for the two different tenants. So that works really well.
Okay, good, perfect. Thank you. And maybe Tom, what about the next stages? Is there anything for the future that is on plan?
Yeah, so, I mean, at a very base level, the next thing we're going to do is do a process of doing a lot of well-architected reviews on all these different components, which is what we always tend to do, at the end of a project. But I think there's a lot of scope for further modernization with this. So it's great, we've already got Cognito there. API Gateway is giving a huge amount of flexibility. As Tony mentioned, we've got the lambdas. But what about looking back at that legacy system, what about the data that's there? That's a really, really key part of that system. Yeah, because it's driving, I believe it's about, is it something like 250,000 records coming in every week?
It's on about 500,000 every week.
So there's a load of data, and those reports are absolutely key for getting out to those individual bus companies and figuring out the reimbursements and all that stuff. So at the moment, they're essentially on one database together. So the next stage is to look at that and split it out. And also that legacy system is on MS SQL still.
Okay.
So we're looking at moving to Postgres on Amazon Aurora. And what that means is that we then are able to split out, essentially using read replicas. So it enables the reporting aspects to not impact the main.
Okay. That's interesting.
So there's lots of stuff like that, which is kind of setting the scene. But then there's looking at the actual reports and how that works. There's huge scope to use technologies such as Amazon Glue, for example, and to then use QuickSight, right, to actually report on that. So there's a whole load of stuff we can do.
So that part of the let's say reporting and the analytics is today run inside the legacy monolith. I understand. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's interesting. Is that word monolith, isn't it? It is a monolithic system. And so, and that 15 years of development, it's actually really hard to just rip that out and replace it. So the model is to look at that and to say, okay, there are all these different services or functions that are happening here, and to look at those and to replace the ones that have got particular improvements needed. So that kind of strangler fig approach of taking that monolith and chipping away at it. And the reporting is, of course, a big bit of that. But yeah, so using Glue, for example, to pull data out and get it into the right shape of reporting.
So they're basically looking at replacing legacy pieces of code with first services. So services first before looking at building another application or set of applications where you need to code everything. Am I right? So we're looking at services and serverless to actually implement that portion of the analytics.
Yeah, exactly, because that's worked so well for the new version of the app, which is, as Tony said, is around tickets that are app-based. So you've got these two different, services that people are using essentially, which is the smart tickets versus the app-based. So taking all of those lessons that Tony's team have got from the app, and then saying, actually, this legacy system, which uses smart tickets, how can we then chip away at that? And obviously the most important part of that in some ways is the reporting. So there's a lot of scope to use native AWS services. And I think we see that a lot as partners. We can get stuff into Amazon very quickly, and that's great. And especially when it's legacy stuff, doing a lift and shift. But actually the real journey begins when we look at how can we start to use cloud native stuff, and how can we actually make use of AWS. So all of the things that Tony mentioned around, be able to scale easily, and especially on things like the reporting, not paying for it when you don't actually need it, paying for it, because at the moment it's a nightly process. So it doesn't need to be running all the time.
Okay.
But at the same time, there are opportunities to run those reports on a much more real-time basis. You start to get much more.
So adopting these services will also allow you to speed up this process.
Yeah, because if you're using Glue, you don't then have to have these massive jobs that I think take 4 hours, for example, to process all that data, producing OLAP cubes and all those kind of things. You can just start to have much more of a process around pipelines. Glue can be through.
Okay. And you will be looking, I guess, at replacing also stored procedures, maybe within the current database, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that kind of MS SQL approach, right? Having lots of stored procedures, all tightly coupled into the SQL database, and looking at that and how can we take those functions out and move them to essentially serverless. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Don. Thanks, Tony, for being with us today and for explaining your journey into this modernization of your systems and in producing this new nice greenfield project with the mobile application. And thank you for staying with us today. If you want to know more about application modernization, please click on the link below. Thank you.